Homeowners love flooring projects because they can refine the look of a home so quickly, but they aren't without challenges, so this week we're serving up some flooring solutions.
This week, we're digging into the world of flooring. You know, it's one of the largest surfaces you have in your home, and there's no quicker way to date or update your home than with flooring. Now, we get a ton of emails on our website about flooring and some of the challenges that you have, whether you're doing it yourself or hiring a pro, such as, can you put a particular type of floor over another type of floor, and would a certain type of floor be okay in a kitchen or a bathroom? Well, we're going to address a lot of those questions in this week's show. But you know, no matter what type of flooring that you may be installing or having installed in your home, it's probably going to need a little preparation.
The biggest hurdle in preparing for a flooring project is making sure that the surface where the new floor will be installed is smooth and flat, whether that's a wood subfloor or a concrete slab. Both can have a few valleys and humps that will leave the new floor uneven and may cause some problems installing it. The solution is a material called floor patch that is spread out over the floor to fill in any low spots and to level out the surface. After the patch dries, the surface is sanded smooth, but if you overdo it, you'll have a lot of sanding to do, so this job may be best left to the pros. But there are some prep chores that almost any homeowner can handle.
The first step in installing a new floor is often removing the old flooring. Now here's where you can really save some money, especially when dealing with wall-to-wall carpeting. Rather than paying a contractor to take it out of the room, you can do it yourself. Now the trick is, rather than rolling it up and trying to carry it out of the room, what I suggest is cutting it into 3 or 4 foot squares, and then you can carry those out very easily. But rather than cutting the carpeting from the front, which makes it really difficult because you have to cut through the pile, plus you also might damage the floor. In this case, we're trying to save the hardwood floor below. What you do is just flop the carpeting over, maybe 3 or 4 foot wide, then use a utility knife to cut it from the back, because the back of the carpet has this really nice rigid fiber, and the knife cuts right through it. So once you get it started, just cut, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 foot square, and you can see how easily it cuts from the back. And you just continue that all the way down the whole strip, and you end up with these pieces that you can just sort of pile up. So you continue down, and then when you're done with this strip, flop it over, again, another 3 or 4 feet, make a slice, and cut it up. And what you end up with is a bunch of nice sized squares that you can either leave at the curb for the trashman to pick up, or take to a local landfill. Now another thing is, before you discard the carpeting, check with a local refuse company, because you might be able to recycle it.
Scraps are also an unfortunate byproduct of new floor installation, but in that case, you will want to hang on to those extra pieces of flooring. They might get you out of a jam later. When rolled flooring like carpet or vinyl is damaged, the only way to repair it without completely replacing it is to patch it. But because this stuff is made in batches or lots, it's nearly impossible to match the color and texture. With most vinyl, there's a repeating pattern in the print, so that's the point where you want to do your cutting to remove the damaged piece. Use a flat, straight edge to help you cut a nice straight line. When you remove the damaged piece, you'll also need to clean up any glue that might be left behind. The patch piece can be cut from a scrap in much the same way so that it fits perfectly in the hole. A little bit of vinyl glue on the subfloor will hold the patch in place, but you'll need to clean up any excess glue with mineral spirits. To ensure the patch becomes truly a part of the repaired floor, seal the seams with vinyl seam sealer. If you do this right, the patch will never be noticed. When you're installing a vinyl floor or any flooring that really has to have a smooth surface, you probably are going to have to deal with the task of removing whatever type of flooring is there now. Now that may be vinyl or it may be a glue-down carpet. Boy, that adhesive is really hard to remove. So it's great when we find a tool that makes it a little easier to kind of take care of that type of task. Now usually you'll have to use a floor scraper to remove all of the adhesive, but we found something at the International Builders Show that seemed to work really well. This is a spider scraper, and Alan decided in the aisles of the International Builders Show to give it a try right up against another type of scraper. He came back pretty impressed with a lot of rave reviews over this little simple tool. It only cost about $12, and all you have to do is put it right in your reciprocating saw
and you're ready to remove all of that adhesive and everything needed before you install that new flooring. Now, Joe has another tip for us that he says will really solve another very common household problem in this week's Simple Solution.
If you live with pets that shed a lot of hair, like my friend Blackie here, you're probably familiar with the challenge of vacuuming up or sweeping up dust and hair, especially from rugs or upholstered furniture. The hair seems to just stick in, and no matter how many times you vacuum, you can't pick it up. So I've come up with a really clever idea, I think, which is an industrial strength lint roller. And all it is a paint roller, standard paint roller that I put onto a broom handle as an extension so I can reach down and do the whole rug without having to bend over. And I took duct tape and I just wrapped it around, sticky side out, all the way around in a spiral fashion around the entire roller. Now all you need to do is just roll it across the rug. Now here you'll see, after just a few seconds, going back and forth, how much hair, pet hair, it actually picks up. I don't know if you can see that, but look at that. Not only pet hair, but also some dust and cookie crumbs and everything else. Now, for a rug this size, you can probably do the entire thing with just one strip of tape. But after a while, it'll lose its stickiness, and so you have to peel it off and put another one on and do another rug or even upholstered furniture.
This week, we're looking at a number of solutions to some very common flooring problems. And Joe, I'll tell you, when you're out on the job site and the flooring guys are out there, man, they have some strange tools.
Very strange looking tools, but if you're going to be putting down your own floor, you're going to need these tools. Fortunately, they're all available at a tool rental dealer.
Now this one, really odd looking, looks like something from the medieval torture chamber. It's called a power stretcher.
Yes, they use it in wall-to-wall carpeting to stretch carpet really tight. If you ever notice carpeting has wrinkles in it, it's because someone didn't use this tool properly.
And they're usually, this is used on larger areas so that you can put one end of it against the baseboard, then you can really stretch it out in order to tighten it up. Now in smaller areas, you use one of these oddball looking things. You can see the spikes here that hook into the carpet, and then you have this pad that you actually kick with your knee, and it's called a knee kicker.
And then for seaming large pieces of carpet, when you have two pieces that come together, there's a heat-activated tape, and they use an iron to go along the seam, and it fuses the tape to the other side, so it becomes basically one big piece of carpet.
Man, that smell, you can smell it all over the job.
Nothing smells like that, right? It's not good either.
Of course, when you're doing any other type of flooring, like tile or vinyl, you're normally having to remove some existing flooring. And Joe, did you see this thing that I showed a little bit earlier?
That is great. Not only for tile or carpeting that's glued down, but you can probably get some wood flooring up as well. And I like the fact that it's in a cordless reciprocal.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. But when the pros are out there, a lot of times they're dealing with larger areas, and they use one of these, and it's basically a flooring scraper. But man, you can get some blisters on your hand like you wouldn't believe on this thing.
Now, a really big job, especially a floor that's fully glued down or a big ceramic tile floor, you might want to consider renting one of these. It's a pro tool. It's an electric scraper. It makes a lot of noise. This is about as loud a tool as you can find, but it'll work really well. I understand they used to use this on roofs, in fact, to pull up roof shingles.
Yeah,
imagine that.
Those roofers got tired of dragging that heavy thing up and down the ladder, but it does do a pretty good job for a lot of different floors. I've had to use that a number of times. Now, if you're doing any type of ceramics, you have to make sure that you're putting the ceramic down on the right type of surface. Alan has some great tips for us.
I'm sitting here with April, who has a very common flooring project. What are we doing today?
We're putting down some porcelain tile today to try to update the bathroom.
April and I have already removed the toilet, scraped the old floor, and measured the space. But instead of cutting cement backer board to cover it, we're using a polyethylene membrane underlayment from Schluter called Ditra. The first thing you'll notice is that it's a lot easier to cut than backer board. No power tools, just a utility knife. Installing it's pretty easy too. We just mix up some thin set, and in this case, it's fortified with a polymer like latex, and we spread this out all over the subfloor in the bath. This adhesive will form a bond with the anchoring fleece that's on the back side of the membrane. And this stuff is also easier to trim tightly around the edges, and since it's waterproof, it's going to be ideal for this bathroom application. From here, the process is much like any other tile project. You lay out the center of the room and just start laying tile. This time we're using thin set without latex to bond the tile to the Ditra. As the cavities in the membrane fill up, they form dozens of tiny little columns that support the tiles. The membrane will absorb any movement in the subfloor without creating cracks in the tile or the grout. All in all, pretty cool system. Okay, we still got to grout it. We need to clean it. What do you think so far?
Excellent. But we really shouldn't be in here right now, huh?
No, we just put the tile down. They'll shift a lot. We need to get out of here.
Well, let's head to the kitchen.
Food?
Oh no, I didn't tell you we're gonna do the kitchen floor too.
This is the kind of tile cutter Alan was using earlier. It's called a score and snap tile cutter, and it's great for smaller projects.
Now, if you're dealing with some larger projects or you're laying down some natural stone like marble or granite tile, it's well worth $50 to $60 a day to rent one of these. It's a wet tile saw, and basically you have water that feeds over the blade to keep it nice and cool. And then this tray that slides right under there with the tile, and you have these little stops that'll keep the tile right where you want it. And you can cut a lot of tile in a short amount of time. Hey, let's check in on our best new product of the week with Jody Marks.
Cordless screwdrivers have been around for a long time, so seeing one here is no surprise. What is surprising is the amount of power this little driver packs. This is the new 4-volt lithium-ion screwdriver from Ryobi. I know what you're thinking, 4 volts doesn't sound like much, but this thing can drive 4 times more screws than the competition on a single charge, and one charge will last up to 24 months. So even if you leave it in the kitchen drawer and forget to charge it, you'll still have power. This power makes it useful for a lot of jobs pros do, but its small size and lightweight also makes it ideal for everyday projects around the house, from assembling furniture and hanging pictures to installing blinds. The SpeedLoad Plus chuck makes changing bits quick and easy, and a built-in LED light comes on with the motor to help out when you're working in dimly lit areas. The kit comes with a bag and 6 extra SpeedLoad bits, so for about 30 bucks, it's a great value for the homeowner or the pro.
This week we're looking at a number of different flooring options and solutions to some common flooring problems. We just looked at a few things you need to think about when you're laying a tile floor.
First, it's great that floor tile comes in a wide variety of sizes, so you're sure to find tile to fit your space. Now, floor tile is typically laid in a square pattern, but you might want to also consider laying it diagonally. Now, if you do so, take into account that you're going to have a lot of cutting, so it'll take a little longer, and you usually have to add about 10 or 15% for cutoff waste.
And you also have to remember that not all tile is made from the same material.
The 2 main tiles are the ceramic tile and the porcelain tile. The ceramic tile is made of a red clay fired in a kiln, and the porcelain tiles are a little more expensive, but they're a little more durable. The porcelain tiles do not absorb water as the ceramic tiles do. So they're also a little stronger, a little more durable for maybe kitchen applications and definitely for the outdoors. Either tile is fine, it's depending upon your application, your taste, and your budget.
One thing ceramic and porcelain do have in common is that you need to finish them both off with grout. Grout comes in a variety of colors, so you can contrast or match it to the tile as you like. I always suggest that people lean a little bit toward the darker shades, which are less likely to show stains. That's the main downside to a tile floor, stains in the grout lines. You'll eventually get them unless you do something to prevent it. After the grout dries, you can seal it with a clear sealer, but people often forget this step, so they're left trying to clean up dirty grout, which truthfully is rarely very successful. In these cases, it's easier just to cover it up with the grout stain sealer combination. This stuff coats and seals the grout, protecting it and making it all one uniform color. To prevent this issue altogether, I have had some success with the stain-proof grouts. I used one recently that came pre-mixed in a plastic tub. That saved some work, but I found that it was a bit stiffer than the stuff you mix yourself. That made it a little more difficult to apply, and it cost a little more too. But so far, it's blocking those stains, and that makes the effort and expense worthwhile. Another very popular type of flooring is wood, or one that looks like wood.
Here we've got some traditional oak flooring. It's 3/4 inch thick, solid oak. It's a great floor. This one's pre-finished. Sometimes you'll see it unfinished. Now, the problem with this in a remodeling situation is because it's so thick, it can create trouble when you're transitioning from one room to another. Another option is an engineered wood floor. This is all wood made up of layers glued together. It's about 5/16 inch thick, pre-finished. And this is great in a remodeling situation because it's so thin.
Now this is one that looks like wood but actually is a laminate flooring. A lot of people call it a floating floor because you don't attach this by gluing it or nailing it to the floor. It actually floats on a layer of foam underlayment and has this nice little snap lock that snaps right together and very, very do-it-yourself friendly. Now, no matter what type of flooring that you're installing at your house, when you get up next to the door jambs, you're going to have a challenge there in figuring out just how to get that flooring right up against the wall like the pros do it. Well, this is what the pros use to solve that problem. It's called a jam saw, and it's a pretty aggressive saw, so you have to be fairly careful when you use it. And you can slip that right out, and that goes right under there, nice and tight.
Now, another option to an electric jam saw is a hand jam saw, or you can use an electric vibrating tool as well. I prefer the hand saw because it's nice and simple, nice and quiet, doesn't create as much dust. What you need is a piece of flooring to use as a guide and flip it upside down so you don't scratch it up, and then simply make the cut. And what you're going to do is remove that little piece of wood and slide the flooring right underneath. And you can use this not only for the casing, but also for the jam on the side. It fits right in there perfectly.
Wow, mine's a lot quicker than yours there, Joe.
Yeah, mine looks neater though.
Okay,
mine
now
didn't smoke up the room either.
I know it. Now, if you already have wood floors and they're looking a little dingy and old, you may want to refinish them. And if that's the case, this is one of the tools you may want to rent. This is a drum sander, very similar to a really big belt sander, very aggressive, but it'll take that top layer right off the finish on your hardwood floors.
Now, the drum sander is great for the middle of the floor, but in order to get along the edge of the room, right close to the baseboard, you'll need an edge sander like this, which has a round disc. Now, if you decide to refinish your own floor and rent these tools, keep in mind they're very aggressive. If you're not careful, you can damage your floor. In fact, in my home, I had the floors refinished recently, and I decided to call in a pro.
Ah, you slacker. If your heating and cooling system gets clogged with excessive dirt inside your home, it'll have to run longer to heat or cool the same amount of space. It'll cost you more money to use and contribute more greenhouse gas emissions. Your best defense against this is a good quality air filter. But before you buy one of these 99-cent disposable fiberglass filters, watch how much of this dirt falls right through it. These things will only remove about 10 to 15% of the dirt, dust, pollen, and other airborne pollutants that are in your home. When you consider that the average person breathes in about 2 gallons of air every minute, just think what else might be going into your lungs. Spend a little extra money for a quality filter like carbon, HEPA, or one with electrostatically charged fibers. These types can remove up to 99% of pollutants, which is truly a breath of fresh air.
This week we've been looking at solutions for some of those common issues that arise in flooring projects around your home. Some of these solutions may require the tools and skills of a pro, while others you can handle yourself with just a few simple tools and a little effort. In either case, realizing that there is a solution to the challenge at hand is the first and biggest step toward overcoming it. We've had fun clearing the path today, and we hope you've had fun walking down it.
Now, once your flooring project is complete, the challenges aren't over. They may be just beginning to keep it nice and clean. It is very important for the longevity of your floor and just to keep it looking good for a long, long time. Make sure you spend a little time in cleaning. Now, I would check with the manufacturer of the flooring that you've installed to see what they recommend, or you can find some very good quality cleaners out there that can clean a multitude of different types of floor. A little bit of cleaning goes a long, long way. Hey, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.
Next week, we're exploring some of the ways you can protect your home from the effects of Mother Nature.